Lots of high-caliber players featured in this tournament. This is going to be a semi-final matchup. Only 4 players left in the tournament, with the exception of the losers bracket, of course. IdrA spawning at 12 o'clock position as the red Zerg player, and his opponent going to be KiWiKaKi. KiWiKaKi, probably the lesser known of the 2 players, but you know what? This player here actually came second place in the Raleigh, North Carolina MLG tournament. Battled his way through the losers bracket, you know, playing a lot of matches. It's not easy to make your way through the losers bracket, but he did. Unfortunately, he did lose in the finals, but you know, very strong showing by this Protoss player, so I'm expecting this to be a good game. This was known to be one of the more competitive series in this weekend's tournament, so should be a good match, and I'm looking forward to casting it. IdrA is going to be, I mean, of course, known for his macro play. I've seen a number of his replays from this tournament, and he has been heavily favoring, you know, 15 hatch, 15 pool type builds, and that's absolutely no surprise. He is a macro Zerg player, does not believe in cheese, and certainly I'd say that he's slightly favored in this matchup, but we're just going to have to wait and see. As all I know about this series is that, you know, both players lose games. It's a very close series, so I'm looking forward to seeing what this game has in store for us. We do have a Forge going up, so sort of the beginning of a wall-off. Not easy to wall off such a large choke point, so I'm wondering what build we're going to have. I mean, there's always the Forge Fast Expand, but I don't think that is going to be the case in this game. Pylon going up behind the mineral line, so it looks like, in fact, we are going to see some cheese. As soon as that Forge completes, or sorry, as soon as the Pylon completes, rather, we are going to have a cannon going up, and the hatchery is not going to have a lot to defend. Turning on the health bars for you guys, we do have the spawning pool that is only about 25% complete. So by the time this photon cannon completes, there are not going to be any Zerglings, no queens, nothing really to sort of ambush this type of cheese play, and I do believe that this hatchery is going to be forced to cancel. It's positioning the Overlord on the high ground here, and yeah, just getting that early extractor. I'm wondering how many workers is he going to put on the extractor right off the bat. We do have 3, so it looks like we are probably going to see relatively early metabolic boost, getting that Zergling speed. This Overlord for IdrA is going to see the follow-up gateway, of course, pretty standard there, and I'm sure there's going to be a cybernetics core going down in a minute. Now, this was canceled, so the first few photon cannon shots did inspire cancellation by IdrA. And look at this. I'm very surprised, well, not necessarily surprised, but just intrigued at sort of the stubbornness of a player like IdrA, putting down this new natural. He is now taking what normally is a third base, putting down an additional hatchery there. Very stubborn, but you know what? You got to sort of admire that. He's saying, I'm not going to resort to one base Zerg play. I'm putting up that expansion anyway. So this photon cannon is sort of just going to hang out for the meantime, as we do have the cybernetics core completing the wall off. Definitely a Zergling type wall off there. Chrono boost going down on the Nexus, going to get some added workers off there. And this worker, this probe on the high ground, made his way up here, and IdrA definitely doesn't know about it. I mean, he's got 2 Zerglings idle right here. I'm sure if IdrA knew, he would send them to kill the probe. But yeah, so we're just going to have to see sort of how that comes into play from now on. Inject going down on the hatchery. We're probably going to see some creep tumors soon. Very important to spread the creep, and especially in this situation because, I mean, the second base for IdrA is just so far from his main. He's got to get that creep spread going, getting that metabolic boost, as I had anticipated earlier. And yeah, so sort of maintaining some probes, getting that early lair tech as well, and getting the lair tech at this 3 o'clock expansion, going to be a little bit more robust. Especially with that new patch adding hit points to the hatchery and the lair. Which I will mention as well, I'm wondering to see how it will come into play this game. Roaches now have 4 range, so that is definitely something IdrA was jumping for joy when he heard about, as we do have a Roach Warren on the way, and the timing of that, I mean, just begun a moment ago, but the metabolic boost is going to be completed any second. Now, taking a look at KiWiKaKi's base, chrono boosting warp gate research, one of the most vital things to chrono boost early game, and he is going to do a 4-gate, so it looks like he is going to be living up to his name. Day9 dubbed him King of the 4-gate, I think after that rally tournament. Yeah, so he's actually going to be getting an expansion as well, putting up that Nexus, and going to be, yeah, sort of capitalizing and pressing his early advantage. That was the cancellation that we saw a moment ago. But I'm interested to see this 4-gate pressure. We do have a pylon that went up, so that's why KiWiKaKi tucked this probe away. And no one knows about this pylon except for KiWiKaKi and the automaton at this point. But we do have 4 Stalkers in play. Nice reaction by IdrA. Pulls his drones off the line right off the bat, right away. He's not going to lose any drones early, but there is not enough to deal with this at this point. Stalkers backing up to the cliff so that Zerglings can't get a decent surround on him. But you know what? 12 more Zerglings on the way. Speedlings. Roaches as well as Glial Reconstitution. Ooh, these Zealots arriving on the scene just in the nick of time to back up their Stalkers. Going to get some slicing in on those Zerglings. 1 Stalker does go down. The Roach arriving on the scene. Another Stalker went down a moment ago. All the shields depleted of these Zealots, and I mean Stalkers as well for that matter. But, you know, try to stay on the creep. Very important for the Roaches and the Queen as well. But you know what? These drones forced to get in the mix as well, as there are reinforcing Zerg units coming down from the main. These Stalkers sort of forced back, and I'm sure that the pressure is going to continue. This Stalker taking a lot of hits before it even gets warped in. And these Stalkers are pretty much naked at this point. The Zealots do get taken out. 5 Stalkers remain. An additional Stalker getting warped in. And it looks like these Roaches are looking to engage. There are some Roaches and Speedlings that just came from behind. And you got to get some good kiting action here. You know what? I don't really like this play by KiWiKaKi. He's taking a lot of extra hits by those Roaches. He could have kited them a little bit better, as Stalkers do have a range of 6. And, you know, you can use that to kite Roaches. Speedlings getting some decent surrounding on these Stalkers, getting a lot of shots in. Queen, you know, trying to protect the swarm as well. And it's getting surrounded. I mean, the Zealots and Stalkers, I think this might be just about it, as this was an excellent reaction by IdrA. Really getting units into position, spreading the creep, getting the speed boost, sending Zerglings out across the map at this point. And I'm not sure I agree with warping in units on the high ground. It's a lot of extra resources and, I mean, food as well, that I'm not sure how, you know, effective those units are going to be or how they're going to come into play. Ooh, continuing to warp them in. I have to say, I do not agree with that. And taking a look at KiWiKaKi's vision, he does know about these Zerglings. That is not where he should be putting a pylon. He should, yeah, there you go. He puts one up here. And you know what? Supply blocked as well. So you know what? KiWiKaKi's getting pretty flustered at this point. After his, you know, 4-gate pressure was kind of nullified, he has been supply blocked for quite a while there, over 30 game seconds. These debris are getting taken out, and only at this point warping in some Stalkers. So it looks like these destructible rocks, very vital for any player who has an expansion at the natural. They are going to get taken out, and these Stalkers aren't going to do nearly enough. All the probes forced off the line because the destructible rocks went down, and they're just sort of blocking off that choke point. All at the same time, the upgrade for ground weapons might not be able to get completed, as the shields are being depleted quickly by these Roaches. And this, you know, might be the 4 range coming into play as well. If they were forced a little bit closer, maybe that photon cannon could get shots off, but it's not going to be the case. That forge is going to go down. This probe trying to secure with a pylon, trying to block off where the destructible rocks were a moment ago, but it doesn't look like that pylon's going to be standing for much longer. Warping in an additional Zealot there, going to get taken out. Lots of probes off the line, not doing mining. This is really not looking good. I do like this response by IdrA. This is some very intense play here. KiWiKaKi trying to hold on, trying to get his Stalkers in a good position, but that warp gate does go down. So now Stuck producing off of 3 warp gates, and these Roaches going to have no problem sniping that pylon. 2 more gateways going up. Going to try to clog up this natural expansion, but these Speedlings getting into position, getting a good surround on the Stalkers. And this is definitely also where the range for increase for Roaches, as, I mean, they're all getting shots off. That acid is just traveling that much further, taking out countless probes, taking out a lot of these Stalkers, and I'm not sure if there's going to be a lot more that KiWiKaKi can do in this situation, and that is it. KiWiKaKi does call GG, so he does lose one of the semifinal matchups. This series isn't over. It's definitely a good series. Don't want to spoil anything for you guys who haven't checked it out, but nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoyed this game. It's definitely some back and forth action.